Wait a minute just to let everyone else come in.
Nobody's in the front row, just like in school.
That's a good point. I feel kind of distant.
Would you like to move up?
I think we're going to end up moving a bit as we go along anyway.
Okay.
Not too worried about it.
Okay.
So welcome to the Sunday Sit, hosted by Center for Mindful Learning. My name is Peter Park, if you don't know me. Normally our teacher Soryu gives these, leads these nights, but he and the other residents are on retreat at the Monastic Academy in Lowell, Vermont. So I took the retreat off this month and I'm hosting tonight. So glad to be here and to practice with all of you. So we'll do a little bit of, I'll give a little bit of a talk and then we'll do some guided meditation and then we might break into some group activity and discussion and end the night by around 7 o'clock or so. And today is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day. If you're a mother, thank you. And if you're not a mother and you forgot, just FYI, in case that's helpful. I just came back from a weekend in Boston. The last 2 days I was in Boston, seeing some friends and going to a Dharma talk at the Insight Center there. And two of my friends recently, well, one of them had two of my friends recently had kids. They're first-time parents. One of them has a 6-month-old daughter, and the other one has about a 1.5-year-old boy. And let me know if the volume's on. And it's interesting just because there's something about babies that sort of just teach you how to have like uninhibited expression and like selfless love and care and joy that comes so naturally. And just a reminder of what it really is to just like be present and like fully love another thing more than my own like comfort and wants of the moment. And it's really beautiful. But then I started talking to one of my friends, the mother, and she was talking about how the first few weeks and months are so challenging, like just not knowing how to do anything, there's fears and guilt and worry about having the responsibility and like power over this like living being that she birthed, and like feeling guilty about everything. Like she was sick when I came over. The baby goes to daycare and caught a cold like babies do, and guilty about like maybe I shouldn't work and should just stay at home and take care of the baby because then the baby won't get sick. But then, but I also should work because I want to be a working mom and all that. And I probably won't be in this lifetime, but I resonated a lot with this kind of struggle between the guilt and challenge of like caring for other people. And this is like my 2nd year right now at the monastery right now. And I know for me, for a large part of my life, there was like this sort of hiding of like not wanting to be in leadership or in power because the fear of like really hurting other people, like making mistakes and feeling like, how could I live with myself if I made a mistake that really hurt someone? And always wanting like the more qualified or more experienced person to like be in the leadership role. And that was a real challenge for me coming to CML of Um, part of the training is like a leadership training program. So you're thrust into different roles and given different jobs, and live and work and practice with like these 10 other people constantly, and inevitably you make mistakes. Or maybe you don't even make mistakes, but other people think you made mistakes and it still hurts them. So, and so I sort of hid for a long time. My first year at CML, I could just sort of hide behind other residents and just kind of use the excuse that I'm the new resident, I don't know what I'm doing. This other guy is more qualified than me, so he can take leadership on projects. And it really wasn't until like all those people left and I just had to do those bigger jobs that I really had to take on leadership, and struggled a lot and still do with this feeling of like the pressure of responsibility of taking care of all these other people I live with, or my friends and my practice brothers and sisters, and my coworkers and my roommates, and then feeling guilty every time that someone feels hurt or something bad happens, or anything that happens. And so I resonated a lot with my friend who was talking about her daughter and feeling like guilty about everything, and really taking responsibility and taking care of things that were like outside of her control. That responsibility a lot of times, which I felt like I did a lot of times, of like imagining and sort of preparing for possibilities that might not even happen and weren't even under my control, and feeling like I had to manage all the possibilities and make sure everyone's always okay, and end up holding myself to like this crazy high standard of perfection to make sure that everyone's okay. Which in reality, when I really got down to it, was just so that I never got blamed if I made a mistake. It was really what it was, really like a sort of like a self-centered fear around hurting people. And recently I came across this distinction. I know a lot of different people use different terms, but this person uses the distinction between sort of guilt and remorse. Guilt is sort of self-lacerating, where something happens, I feel guilty, and I blame myself, not just for my actions, but as like a demonstration that I'm a bad person. That, oh, I made a mistake. Of course I made this mistake because I'm a bad person. I always make mistakes. So that I'm screwed up in some way. Paralysis, because what can you do if you just had proof that you're wrong, like fundamentally wrong? Versus remorse, which was more like based. If I made a mistake, I can learn from my mistakes, and I want to take actions to go back into integrity with who I am, what I believe in, what my values are. And I think that's really still a challenge for me, going on and on and on. As if you were here last week, so you sort of talked about the long and challenging process of deciding whether or not we're going to move to low, take on all this debt and these big challenges that will be there now or not. And I know all the residents in Soryu sort of had a lot of conversations around, is this a good idea? Who's going to take responsibility for this? Can we pull this off? And it really sort of meeting against the world with these challenges really sort of activates those questions of like, are we worthy? Is the world actually care? It kind of comes down to like, do I believe this is possible or not? Is this sort of path viable today in this world that we live in? And it's interesting living with like 10 other people because, I spent the past week sort of living at friends' couches and just bumming around Burlington and Boston. And there's a way in which the first year at the monastery, I like desperately wanted to leave. I would sort of look for any excuse to leave for a weekend. And it's just like real intensity of the training. And then the second year, it sort of reversed where I like go to the city and I visit my friends and it feels like something is missing. Like there's like conversations that aren't being had, like feelings not being felt. And part of that's like my responsibility. I could definitely bring it more, but a lot of it felt like sort of like unacknowledged like suffering, either in people or in the world. And the amazing thing for me of living in the really tight community that we do in CML was the sense of each week or each month, there's always someone individually or one of the family members going through some form of like surprise suffering, whether it's like a health issue or divorce or unemployment or something. It always kind of pops up and reminder of like, oh right, first know the truth is real. Suffering exists. Disappointment exists. Discomfort exists, and I can't be like perfect. This organization can't be perfect. This team's not going to be perfect. Society is not going to be imperfect. Just like parents are perfect. Raising a kid's not going to be perfect in a lot of ways. And so the question kind of comes up of like, well, what's the point? The point of meditation or coming here or doing anything sort of just sounds pessimistic, that mistakes happen and suffering happens. And for me, there's like a great relief in basically feeling and being with what's actually here. And every time I don't do that, I sort of feel myself like almost becoming disembodied and disconnected from the world. And so the past few weekends I've traveled to go to like workshops and trainings and retreats elsewhere. And it's really stark to me how much for myself and others, there's like this way that we're like conditioned as adults to not feel and like express ourselves in the way that like a baby is like naturally expressive and feels everything, to the point that they're like completely self-centered and completely self-absorbed in anyone else. But they're like totally in their body and totally will tell you how they're feeling every second of the day. That I feel like I know I lost at some point growing up, just naturally learning that other people exist and realizing the importance of like other people and like community. But then unraveling that like self-consciousness and learning how to be like vulnerable with people and like showing love that's not just a form of like, I'm going to take care of you when you're having a problem, but like I'm going to love you by showing you like how I fully am and staying in connection with you and like modulating appropriately of like where that connection is. It's not just about like me showing up and gushing everything that's in me to you, and it's not all about me just taking care of you. Because those would both be like kind of self-centered, self-righteous kind of. Not that, I mean, that happens. I do it all the time. That's not like what I'm aiming for. There's a way in which I can be like fully present and like expressing myself without feeling like I'm needing to hold back, but at the same time, like being fully connected with a person, with a group, and it's an ongoing process that I think a lot of times, whether we do that on cushion by ourselves, mindfulness, or in a group, can be really helpful to sort of see where those stuck patterns are. And even just acknowledge it in our own experience, what they are, and actually feeling them on like a visceral gut level. And then being able to actually share that with people is really liberating. And so for me, a lot of times meditation isn't so much about like, I need to like get rid of these patterns. I need to push them away and focus on like something else. That's my object of meditation. But a lot of it's just like being able to hold my experience in a way that both provides me with like healthy boundaries, but is also still welcoming of like, you can see this is what I have. And it's not so much of a wall as it is just like, this is where my boundary is right now. You're welcome to meet it or not. And really wanting to see everyone else's, what they're holding and where they are with that, so that it doesn't just become like an all you or all me sort of interaction where it's just only I'm sharing and you're just sort of like a helping caretaker, or you're hurting and I'm just helping you. There's a way in which having a relationship that's more interdependent and like interconnected is much more alive for me. Yeah, it's weird. I like driving up here, I was like talking to myself what the Dharma talk would be. I am saying many different things than what I said in the car. Very different. Cool. So I guess I'll just close with this idea of for me, like these kinds of spaces and these kinds of communities are like really sacred in the way of being able to actually like test, and it's at least like physically a safe container. There's a lot of patterns that I think all of us just sort of acquire from conditioning and culture and society and our own lived experience that are terrifying to try doing different experiences, but actually can be joyful in the right context. For example, we chant each morning and evening, and for a long time, Soryu would gripe that, gripe isn't the right word, but that's, I'm gonna use that word. You would gripe about, we all chant in the same way every day, and he kept saying like, you know, there's like a better, more full-bodied way to chant and sing. And at one point I was a chant lead and for like a few months, and so I had to like demonstrate and lead the chanting for everyone, and it was terrible because I'm more of like a quiet, do not sing or dance public. Well, dance. I don't sing publicly, and so it was really hard to break out of that pattern because it's like I am familiar with this pattern because I'm not chanting very well and I'm too quiet, but at least it feels safe. But then, you know, with encouragement and support, trying just anything else, even if it feels worse, just trying something else to like get out of that rut and find a different way to do these things and be free from whatever that old pattern is. And so for me, you know, a lot of this practice, both within ourselves and with each other, is a way to really like experiment and test like our ideas of like fundamentally, is it true or not that like fundamentally at the core of our being, that like life is good, that, like human beings are at the root. If you go in Buddhism, are like empty of self nature. And if you take it another step, they would say that, and in that emptiness, there's compassion. Is that really true, or is that just an idea that I have about how I wish the world was and how I behaved in the world, which is like a beautiful thought and aspiration in and of itself. But ultimately, like when times get tough, like being a mom, waking up 2 o'clock in the morning, you can't really rely on your thoughts and beliefs anymore, and you really need to know, like, at my core, I actually really care about like serving, and that's self is a source of like energy and inspiration and power, or fundamentally, I'm like putting on an act and just like trying to show up like I'm a helpful, caring, nice guy. But deep down, I'm like, you know, this terrible human being that has to be like caged and controlled. And I think to different degrees, we all sort of have that question. And I think it's really nice and like relieving for me to be in a group that really wants to explore that question and like find out for real, like, is that true or is that false? And I mean, the good news is every time I've explored it, it turns out it's true. We're fundamentally good people, that we care naturally, that like that spirit that I see in every baby is like, that's what's at the core. And then learning how to navigate that in the world with people is like the challenge and the opportunity. And so we get to practice together how to get back to that sort of childlike, natural simplicity and beauty and love and care. It's just already there. It doesn't have to be like manufactured or created or controlled or manipulated in any way. So, yeah, can leave it there. Doing a bit of practice, and then we might do some other fun stuff outside the norm. Also, at any time, if you want to get like a drink of water, or stand up, or walk, feel free to, or use the bathroom, feel free to take care of yourselves. So begin by checking your body posture, ensure that you're upright, have a dignified posture with your head standing tall, shoulders leaning back. Practice you want to do tonight, then feel free to continue with whatever your practice might be. But I'll offer a few guided meditations if you want to join in. So begin by, in your mind's eye, imagining someone in your life that cared for you. Maybe that's your mother, maybe that's your father, maybe that's someone else. Maybe it's someone calling you right now. Try to remember someone in your life that was there for you. Was an influence in your life for the positive. Maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a friend or a sibling. So remember the person in your life that at some point of time in your life was there for you, who helped you without asking for anything in return. Notice any changes in your body as you call to mind this friend in your life. And then also imagine how much joy that you gave them, that the gift of serving another person selflessly is a great joy, and it's a great honor, blessing. So you can imagine how much love and care and joy that they received by being able to help you. And then with that sense of care felt in your body, try to imagine someone or something that you care about. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's a loved one, maybe it's the earth or a specific cause that you believe in. But with this care and love as the fuel and your inspiration for work, try to read that care and love to the thing that you care about in your mind's eye. If you're having trouble thinking of anything, you could also just choose yourself. You yourself are worthy of care and love, support. So you can always imagine yourself helping yourself. I normally like to start all of my meditations with really strong intention. So in this case, it's remembering the mentorship and care and love I received from people in my past, and then taking that and extending it into the present and the future for all the things I care about and want to be of service to. And then with that intention, using that as the reason, remembering that I'm not just sitting here for no reason, that there's a point to all this. So with this motivation, you can go into your formal practice. For me, a lot of it right now is just feeling my body, specifically using my breath as an anchor, whether that's my nose or my chest or my belly, fully feeling my breath entering my body and exhaling and feeling it leave my body. And just being cognizant of any tensions or changes in my body moment to moment, not needing to change or manipulate or judge how the body feels or how the breath is coming or going, but simply being with it. So if you would like, try to choose an anchor point in your breathing. For me, it's breathing in my belly and just seeing if I can stay with it as long as possible, returning if I get distracted, letting go of any judgment or trying to make it different. Find yourself getting distracted from your meditation, and just gently remind yourself, like you would a child, come back to your practice. Remember in this meditation, the measure of success isn't whether or not things are pleasant or unpleasant. Rather, can I just be with my experience as it is right now and see what naturally emerges when I'm with it? So in this practice of being with our breath, you can notice if there's any compulsion or trying to understand or manage or do it right. And just come back to the actual felt sense of what it's like to breathe, natural breath. comfortably. Enjoy the ease. Enjoy the practice. If this practice is difficult and you find yourself distracted or feeling unpleasant things, then take pride in that you are exercising your mindfulness muscle, that no effort is ever wasted. Just keep continuing your practice. a few minutes to use the bathroom or do some walking meditation or stretching if you'd like. Or if you want to just keep sitting, that's okay too. And come back and do 5 minutes group work. So I thought the second period I could do something a little bit different than what we want to do. If you've ever been here on a Sunday night when I've led, you probably know I like doing more relational practices. So I think for the next 20 minutes or so, we'll try doing more interpersonal meditations. Get a sense for how many people there are. 11. Maybe to start, and again, obviously, be your own best friend here. So there's no need for you to do this if you don't want to. So opt out to whatever level you want to participate. But you could start with maybe some dyads. So if you could find someone that maybe you don't already know really well, and you pair off somewhere in the room. Maybe try to get sort of facing each other somewhat, so it's not uncomfortable to see each other. And go ahead and close your eyes or look down a little bit. Try to rest, returning to your mindfulness practice. Just in this short break and getting to know someone, noticing what's alive in your body now. Again, there's no right way to do this. It's just noticing what's it like to be in my experience right now. Maybe it's really relaxed. Maybe it's kind of jittery and excited. Maybe you're thinking about what the hell's going to happen in a few minutes. All that's fine. Paying attention to body sensations, emotions, thoughts that might be coming up. So I'll outline the next sort of 2 or 3 steps. We'll take it one step at a time here. So the next time I hit this bell, you can open your eyes and make soft eye contact with your partner. It's not really a staring contest, it's more of a open eye gaze, so you can sort of include the periphery in your view. And you don't have to do it, so if it feels uncomfortable or you want to look away, you can sort of look down or at their shoulders. That's fine. It's just a practice to see what it's like being connected at this primordial level before you introduce any speech. And then when I hit the ring, and that'll just be for a few seconds. After I hit the ring again, one of you will have the opportunity to speak to a prompt. The prompt tonight I'll offer is just what's really alive in me today, right now. So for me, it could be something like right now, what's really alive in me is wondering about how my friends are doing who are kind of sick right now and haven't been able to talk to them for a few days. And so whatever's the most alive in you, either right now or what's been going on today, you can share that for a few minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, and then I hit the ring again and the other person can speak. In this kind of diet practice, try to minimize any kind of crosstalk. If you feel any need to sort of affirm or nod your head or ask questions, as the listener, you don't have to do any of that. You just and receive and see what it's like to just listen to another person and paying attention to them, noticing that the gift of your attention and awareness is all that's needed right now. And as a speaker, you can notice what it's like to talk. There's no right way to talk about this. So just like a baby, feel free to express yourself fully without any need to manage it, if that comes up too. And I'll go through this again as we go along. So coming back to your body and practice again. Just noticing what it's like, your experience right now. As you feel ready, you can start making eye contact with your partner, keeping a soft gaze. Not really trying to do anything here, you're just noticing what it's like to even try to make eye contact. Noticing if there's a way in which you're trying to give off anything or receive anything. Are you like mainly with the other person, or are you mainly with yourself? There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just a meditation on what it's like to be with this person right here, right now. It doesn't say anything about you, it doesn't say anything about your partner. And now maybe choose which of you will be the first speaker and which of you will be the first. And then as you feel ready, the prompt again is just what's really alive in me right now, or what's been alive for me today. And you have about 4 or 5 minutes to go into that.
Real sweet. It's like a countdown. Sense of being on my own experience, I'm actually very often do that. And a lot of it's quiet and so spending time. Yeah, and it's pretty often also applied to graduate school on Fridays, so I'm a second behind on Years ago, all of that.
It's really important, because I overdo it.
In the sense of play.
I don't do it. I get crazy. Feeling that liveliness in me is pushing me to find that.
Telling people about it, all the stories, it's really funny.
At the same time, there's a lot of,
This is grief as well as a lot of.
open their heart and change the ways that you know, trust us, courage and support.
Having had her
And when my tendencies are to contract and
friends and
protect
family, right?
me, being vulnerable is not so simple, but that's where life is strong. And that kind of thing. So.
You've got about a minute left, so if you're in the middle of something, just see, you got about a minute left, so try to wrap it up.
Well, and tapping in and never forget. Coming back. Coming back.
There's a real undercurrent.
In the moment, right here, right now, constantly. And realize stop.
A real sense of fighting against the emotions.
Our true life. Remembering that. Keep holding on. Holding on, not your mind, but holding on to that knowledge that is healing beyond our separateness.
Try to come to a close and then bring yourself back into silence and just check in with how you're feeling. What's it like for you right now? Any thoughts or emotions, body sensations? Maybe noticing if you feel very different than a few minutes ago. And as I hit this ring, the person who just listened can speak, and then the speaker can get about 4 or 5 minutes.
Just today.
See something about you, and I automatically I actually had skills like could help you with it, and so it's like, and then I shared I do really want to help enroll, and like, I really want to like share this in an active way, and actually helping you is another way to help you. And so like I just really like because I used to like figure it out.
Just try to get
Things alive in me that
Turning around.
Shows dad, his mom.
But-
Say never was like spending hours on the
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. It's part of it, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's also fascinating.
Yeah, I
Especially
still feel like
how our lives have generation.
groggy or
You
something.
know, what is it that actually like.
You're responsible.
Tell me, like that meditation is just looking about my best friend
Staying open.
and how
Yeah.
actually she does feel a lot.
But yeah, it's really
And
tight.
how recently.
Stay down here.
Open and I have.
That's weird, like, workplace.
It's like I want.
I don't like that.
As a family, I take care of. Are good food. And his father's case, you know, he smoked and drank. Enjoy the time that he had.
Hardly listen,
Yeah.
let
Feel
alone
like
participate.
Yeah.
It's tough.
That long hair till he died.
Not for the thing,
Just
but
thinking about
it's
staying
like,
up.
doing class.
To say.
Those down.
Just
Good though. Alright, I'm tired.
Classical music, and so like the living room was always just like this
Stressful, like,
incredibly relaxing place.
bunch of
You
stuff
just like
to do, like,
stumble through,
Once,
like,
like,
yeah, this like time
for
just
my mom,
set you up
like,
for like this beautiful
around through
music.
there.
It's like this sitting
You
there,
know,
and it's like
you're
so happy to ask anything of you, and just like that.
So 1 minute warning.
So, yeah.
Back to the.
Love.
When one has opportunity,
Yes.
so one's life is times and ways of contemplating.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a really troubling today.
Their household.
Stressful.
Very early on, the opportunity to really talk about changing patterns
yeah.
was always available for me.
So,
Really had
being
just
here,
such a deeply on my life.
think
From
about
my
that.
way back, I was
There's funniness of trying to set
and
you
the flowers and actually looking at construction. Reading my poems, you know.
One more, yeah.
Finish up your sheriff and so I didn't really mention we're doing this in the email, so I want to make sure. I get a straw poll on I either want to go back to meditation, silent sitting meditation, or even more spicy relational practice. Only for like 6 or 7 minutes, but maybe can I get like fingers on like 10 is like let's go full out, and like 1 is this is way too much already. And you don't have to vote if you don't want to, but help me know where we're at. 1 of those. No pressure to be 10 either. It's okay. Interesting. People could also, okay. Now I'm wondering if people could pair off or. Interesting. Well, mostly high numbers. Huh. Okay, and if you don't want to participate, you can always just meditate silently with yourself. You don't have to do anything. So next, we'll just do this one brief exercise and then go into conversation. But this is an exercise of sort of noticing what's present with your partner, keeping it about yourself, your own experience. You have more. You obviously are sort of an authority on your own experience, so you can say things like, "I'm feeling tension in my stomach." Being self-conscious about the way I'm sitting, noticing. I like to laugh. Or you can notice things about your partner, and the things you notice about your partner should be inarguable, so that if anyone heard it, they would all agree, yeah, I can't argue with that. So you don't want to say something like, I'm noticing you're angry, because you don't actually know if that's true. But there's a lot of physical sort of actual actions that you can notice. So I noticed you just looked away, or I noticed you're touching your beard. I noticed you kind of went play. Well, actually, even that's kind of projecting. I noticed you're smiling now. Those kinds of things, keeping it at the level before the stories and projections naturally start occurring. Just tap in with yourself or your partner. It can be sort of popcorn style. And it's okay if nothing comes out too. Don't feel a need to have to say something. Does that make sense? Confuse things. Cool.
It even works for me.
Great. Not too spicy. So obviously this is not each of you can just sort of popcorn style, whatever you're noticing about yourself or your partner. And again, for your partner, try to keep it to things that are inarguable. So everyone would agree with that. Start.
That's why I'm trying to figure out how to create
You want to stretch.
So you don't have to. It's usually right here. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I know this. Because that's what but it's not.
You're listening?
Yes.
Well, comfortable till 20 minutes.
I'm noticing. Like you're in on
Oh, yeah, true. Cooler, so.
Yeah, I like noticing on the little.
Slowly watching it grow.
Burning there too.
I noticed you just be outside for a second.
Really, it's.
Frequent, right? Oh.
I'm hungry.
I
Yeah.
noticed our eye gaze.
Noticing
Gentle eye gaze. I did this one, but when we said that was on meeting with my mind, I want to do it.
It's like we play. This is nice.
Why did you kill
They don't wonder. So as you're ready, let's form out with the big circle. Thanks for everyone for playing along. Resisting my urge to like caretake and take responsibility for your experience. But I'm very curious and receptive to hearing how that was. And so this is usually the time for anyone to bring up any questions, comments, anything that felt really alive or strange or interesting to you. Happy to about anything tonight. Or if you want to go broader, it's also cool.
I will be more.
Kind of weird meeting a stranger's eyes. Like it's always reserved for like close people, but like when you kind of meet somebody else's eyes, especially if you don't know, it's just kind of nervous. I mean, I don't know, but yeah.
Totally. Particular,
Body-wise,
yeah, quality of the experience or thoughts, or feelings, or
I'm just uncomfortable, you know.
Hmm.
Kind of brought that nervous feeling in the gut.
Did you notice it? Did it change at all as time went on, or was it sort of increasing or changing?
It seemed to decrease a little bit. I mean, after we got to talking a little bit, just still uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's sort of a practice I acquired originally from Boston, and yeah, still feels nervous when I do it.
But also, like, if you're walking down the street and you meet like somebody's eyes, I don't know, it's just that weird thing that goes on there too. I don't know. So.
Yeah, I feel like normally we only reserve eye contact to either people we're about to like fight or like that we're really intimate with, and then it doesn't get eye contact. You gotta fight me or love me to get eye contact.
When you're interviewing for a job.
Thanks for sharing.
Is it usually like this? This is my first time, so I'm just curious.
Not what we normally do. Well, usually Soryu leads these, and you'll start usually with a half-hour topic Dharma talk, and then roughly an hour of guided meditation, and then Q&A at the end of the evening. So I sort of changed the second guided meditation to diodes. The past year, we've been doing an ongoing series on Peace Pilgrim. It's like an American modern saint woman that traveled across the country many times. And he wrapped up that series last week. So I talked to him a few days ago and asked him if there's anything I had to cover this Sunday. And he said, you do whatever you want. So I took that literally. Do what I want. So.
Well, thank you. I find the interpersonal work to be always so upsetting in sort of the best possible way. In meditation, I feel like there isn't the interaction with another person always makes things spicier, I guess. Yeah. Use your word.
Did you notice any change in like the quality or level of concentration when you're with someone versus the first meditation?
Yeah, absolutely. It seems as though sometimes I can either get spacey or dull meditating for periods. And that with another person, it's definitely much more present.
Yeah, that's my experience. Yeah. Well, sort of like hijacking concentration somehow.
Well, I think of that like meditate it as though someone's holding a knife at your back, which sounds awfully martial, but I find it really, if I'm feeling dull, I think of that. So,
Just felt like I didn't get like straight. Shit.
I did, yeah, when facing each other, I suddenly felt much more accountable. I'm like, oh, I gotta bring my A game here for meditation. I can't, because there's someone else and I don't want to let them down. So it's that whole caretaking thing too. Like, I want to do whatever I'm supposed to be doing as well as I possibly can for them, more so than I might do for myself if I'm just in my chair and my mind's like, ooh, all over the place. So yeah, it was great. It was good.
Curious if anyone, because for when I do these practices, a lot of times there's like that immediate concentration of like, oh, I'm alive and gotta be here. But there's also like this really, we kind of talked about it, it's sort of almost like a panicky, nervous, no equanimity energy to it too. That's like sort of the opposite of when I sit by myself, where it's much more relaxed, but it's hard to get concentrated. But then when I'm with someone, it's very concentrated, but at least initially it's like a sort of
And when you mentioned, you brought up that we have a prompt, and you said what the prompt was, I got that panicky feeling. I was like, okay, I can be real with this total stranger. I've seen her, but that's about it. I don't even know her name. Or I can just kind of talk about something generic, there's that panicky, like, oh, what am I going to talk about? Yeah. So I went for real.
Oh.
That's scary.
Did the panic?
It subsided.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was good.
Was the concentration still there?
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Interesting comparison. as opposed to just me sitting on a cushion in my room.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I was sort of hanging out with my friends and their kids, or my brother and his kids, and the way that like day in and day out, as I'm sure some of you know, if you have like pets or kids or something, or a nurse or anything, there's a way much like when it's about someone else, I'm like on, but then if it's like not about just me, then it's just like I'm just gonna be on the couch, I'll meditate, sort of. There's a weird way for me. It's like when I tap into the need for service and that the practice matters. Also for like the wider world, it like sunlight becomes a lot more real and really important. So, no.
I liked that you brought up like taking responsibility, like just for you and not for how other people are feeling, which is like a big pattern for me as well. And I've just been thinking lately, like I'm sort of like growing, and I'm a nurse, and I'm growing to in this new role of nurse practitioner, and like having more responsibility has made me have like certain walls, and because I'm like focused on like doing it right, and I'm worried about that, and lately I've been like, I don't feel like very like emotionally to my patients, and I feel like practicing that, like feeling like what I'm feeling while like the other person is talking like about what they're feeling. It's really helpful.
Nice. Have you been? Can I ask you a question? Noticing present before when you're interacting with patients, or is that something you just kind of realized afterwards?
Well, I can definitely like get into like the caretaking role of like when it's about the other person and like leaving my own body to like go to the other person's emotion. And like that, I think that's sort of different than the newer thing that I'm experiencing of feeling like I have to know what's going on. Because being in a new role, I'm a little bit more insecure. So I like letting my own guard down, feeling, maybe it's like feeling my own insecurity and discomfort with how I'm feeling now. I'm not feeling like I'm actually feeling.
And so maybe because there's the insecurity, the walls are coming up, so you can be with yourself while that's happening.
I wouldn't even say I'm like actually being with what actually is there. It's more like getting up in the head.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is like, oh, we're stuck.
It's like a wall here and like a wall here.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to be a disembodied floating head.
I know that experience. Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, so in that way, there's like a weird way where like the more I can actually be with myself, this wall. And sometimes it reverses for me where being with another person helps me be with myself.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Sometimes the opposite. Depends. That's for sure. Yes.
I think it like that same fear that you're talking about came up and sort of spinning thoughts about like, oh, like what if I have to share something I don't want to share and be vulnerable in a way that it's gonna be uncomfortable, and like the fear of that discomfort is like more uncomfortable than the actual letting go.
Yeah. A memory percolating in the back of my head. I can't quite tap into. Yeah, there's a way in which like sometimes I rush, like someone's like emotionally trying to connect with me, and I sort of close off and rush out of it because it seems like the only options I have are like being close, taken for them, and then the alternative option of like just stating my boundary, like keeping the connection is more vulnerable in a way. Like, I really care about you, I'm really sad I don't have time for you, but I can't do that right now. Maybe tomorrow or something. Instead I say, oh, I'm really busy, and you know, talk to John or something, and go away. So yeah, it's weird for me. That a lot of times the vulnerable route is the more effective way, but it feels scary at first.
I like the somatic experience part of it. Requires awareness, like when you're just like, oh, I'm really busy. Like, and saying, and you're pushing this is verbalize our physical awareness very much. So this opportunity to do that, I feel like we need more, for sure.
Yeah.
To remind us of that interconnectedness when we talk to others. We're really speaking to our own self. You can't really do it in your own head so much, in the inner world. We need to bridge it with the outer world. So I really appreciated this experience today.
Did you notice a lot of your shares were sort of somatic based in terms of your body being like really alive and active?
Well, as soon as you mentioned partners, the jolt of fear in my system was through the roof. And then the panic thoughts start going, but constant reminder of where am I feeling it, I tend to just leave the body. So constant reminders to ground the feet, do I feel my feet still? That helps me, but talking to someone else is just really powerful.
Yeah, it reminds me, lately a lot of times when I'm having conversations with people and they say something that it's like activating my fear or something, or my defense, I just gotta keep telling myself to like, just feel and relax, feel and trust. Don't need to like go DEFCON 4 like immediately. So, wait first. And there was a point I wanted to make in my talk. I don't know if I got to, but like I noticed a lot of times in these like weekend retreats I've been doing lately around. Anytime I tell myself, oh, I don't need to share that, or like no one will care if I say that, no one will like resonate, or no one will get, not going to mention it or something. So like that self-shutting down voices in my head actually like make me like leave my body and even like leave my experience to the point of like I don't even know what I'm feeling anymore if I keep doing that after minutes or hours or days or weeks or however long it is. And recently I did a retreat, like a talking retreat, like 20 or 30 people at Karma Trolling. And I just set this intention of like, anytime the conversation lulls or like, I don't know what to do, I'm just gonna like tap into like, what do I want right now? Or what am I noticing? And I'm just gonna say that. No need for like the other person to like respond. I'm not like looking for them to satisfy anything, but just like wanting to make sure like I stay connected to my experience and I'm not like, judging like, oh, these are the things I can say and do, and these are the things I don't mention and aren't worthy of expressing, kind of thing. And yeah, so I was really appreciating the staying in the body and just sort of allowing my experience to be whatever it is. I hope. Anything else in addition? Was there anything else? No?
Not in particular.
Cool.
Thank you.
Just to make sure I wasn't talking over you.
I noticed at one point there was some silence between my partner and I, and at one point I started feeling like a lot of joy, uplifting energy, and I really wanted to like smile and like laugh and like burst out in laughter, but I just like held it back. I didn't do that, and it just kind of like made me think about like when I see a baby just laugh, it just kind of like everyone else just laughs. It has this big impact. So maybe like think about how I like hold back my joy and why I do that, and what the impact might be if I don't share my joy when I really want to in other situations.
Cool. How does it feel after sharing? Did you already? How's it like sharing that? I feel more joy just hearing that.
Yeah, no, it feels great to share and just like express like what is kind of naturally wanting to be expressed. Yeah. And also like I feel a little bit nervous too, I like just like a rush of heat as well. Sharing sharing about what I was feeling previously, and also just like sharing that it feels like relieving too.
Yeah, thanks. I guess you're in the listening role I mentioned, or
What's that?
were you in the listening role when that joy came up?
Yeah, I think yeah, it was just wanting to listen and not necessarily joy in what I was feeling to affect. So I guess I was like a little bit afraid of how that might affect my partners, what they would say or how they would feel.
Cool. It's always funny, like teasing apart just really subtle, basic communication with people. How many layers exist at like very basic conversation. So provides like rich fodder for meditation. Cool. I feel like I should have mentioned this earlier, but I think this might be a given, but obviously, unless your partner says otherwise, based, and I guess most people don't really intimately know each other, but keeping whatever was said in confidentiality, so don't go posting on Facebook that my friend, whoever said this tonight for meditation, and, you know, that. I feel like that's a given. I want to say it out loud. So unless anyone else has anything they want to share, I guess we can go into announcements and close the show. Okay.
I have an announcement.
Oh, cool.
Or not. We are starting the announcement.
Going. Yeah, let's do announcements. Take it away.
All right. There's a sitting group that happens here on Wednesdays From 5:30 to 6:30.
On Wednesdays, you said?
Yeah. And just wanted to let people know, because, yeah, it's just it's a smaller group, and we sort of rotate who is leading it, doing the guided meditation. And so everybody's welcome to come.
Here at 5:30, 6:30,
5:30 to 6:30
Wednesday.
Wednesdays.
Wednesday nights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does anyone have any social responsibility, social action items for the week? We usually have announcements. Anything else? Anything going in the air? Take action to the world. It's also included in the emails at the bottom that we send out each week. I unfortunately didn't come prepared with any.
I think that, actually, I don't know if the time is set. I'm sure it is. Next Saturday about noon, at the Worker Center, there's a potluck for women and trans folks who doing social activism, or anybody really, just talk about our experience, especially in activism. We've had them before in the past, and they've been really great. And I think it, like at the Worker Center, we have our usual meeting on Thursday at 6:30 about the Healthcare is a Human Right campaign, and this time there's a new member orientation for people who are